Papua New Guinea is one of the most culturally diverse countries in the world, with more than 800 indigenous languages and over 600 islands. Among many natural treasures, the most unique asset of Papua New Guinea is its rainforest, the third largest in the world, and home to endangered wildlife, plants, and diverse groups of people. But Papua New Guinea is on the brink of losing this natural wealth. A massive land rush is taking place. In recent years, 12% of the country, 5.5 million hectares, have been leased out to foreign corporations who are logging and exporting the trees. Papua New Guinea is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, but the boom in construction in the capital Port Moresby hides a painful reality. Economic growth is driven by the export of natural resources, which does not translate into benefits for most citizens. Commenting on the poor human development records of the country, the World Bank describes the situation as a paradox of wealth without development. The Constitution, created in 1975, protects customary land rights, sets self-reliance, sovereignty, and the sustainable management of natural resources as overarching principles for the country. Then how come today the country is at the mercy of foreign corporations? How and why has the country settled for its precious resources to be loaded up on foreign ships and taken away?
This operation started in 2009, somewhere around in July. So they told people that please allow us to enter there and we'll upload our machinery because all the work will be done up in the inland. So people have no choice because the machineries are here and people, wanted to see development. They want to see, well, for the first time we've not seen these things, so I think we better let it go. It's not a development. Development is about people. People's having to have some kind of improvement in improving their standard of living, quality of life, improving infrastructure development. Those are development. But by looking at what is happening right now, it is like ripping off our resources, our tangible resources. It is more or less like you rob it. We must scrutinize these laws to ensure that people must give the free prior informed consent. Right now, what is happening? You could talk about free prior informed consent. They're only using a handpick. Right. Like my brother here, right. They picked him up. They know he's a good vocalist or some good advocate or some kind of person influence in the community. They grabbed him on the street or somewhere. They took him and they gave him money and some beers and something else. And that's where the negotiation starts. By doing that, they provide a policeman on site, and policemen provide a security for these people. So what can you do? Government is on the other side. We people are helpless.
Dozens of companies have signed land deals for falsely named agricultural projects under a government scheme called Special Agriculture and Business Leases, SABLs. Like in Turrbal, people witness massive logging operations instead of watching a development project for the good of local communities. This large tanker is the 37th that has come to load logs in Turrbal Bay. PNG has become the second largest exporter of tropical logs in the world after Malaysia. The country now exports over 3 million cubic meters of logs every year, primarily to China. Since 2007, the SABL scheme has resulted in a sharp increase in logging and log exports from PNG. Foreign companies have found a new and relatively easy way to open new areas for logging.
The processes that were supposed to have been followed obviously weren't followed, so we had major forestry logging companies just come in and take advantage of the SABLs instead of going through the normal procedures to get proper forest management. authorities. Huge foreign corporations come in and they tell villagers, we're going to bring you a school, we're going to bring you a road, aid post. And then they just clear off the forest, build a huge sawmill, a timber yard, and then there's no real benefits to the people.
Loggers and their machinery are going deep into the forest to collect the logs.
When the company came, they couldn't get access to their objective. They have to really push their way through here. So the people actually did not accept this idea of this oil palm and this thing. Within the village, they said, no, we will not allow road. And I got everything recorded down on paper, which I also presented to the courts already. The village said no. But the company used certain individuals, and they used the police, and they used these Asians who came with that bulldozer, and they came, they bulldozed through. They bulldozed by force, yes. Even my people came standing objecting, and they used police to assault them. And even the government authorities are involved too. So people at the higher places, and for a villager to get into this it's corruption at its best.
The logging companies built hundreds of miles of roads into the heart of the rainforest and harvest the best logs along the way.
Timber authorities are actually meant to be areas of sort of up to about 50 hectares maximum for conversion into agriculture or whatever. But what they started doing was having multiples of timber authorities, stringing them all together. And they also could be used for like a road alignment. So, you know, you'd have a road and you convert for a road, and then the road would suddenly become a very wide road. And it would become a very long road, and sometimes it would wiggle around to ensure that it included all the valuable trees.
Alright, me to me also this plus me bin big background this company bin come site. Now time company bin come site all bin karam this consent form me bin come round. Now consent form me bin karam come some loli karam me play bin sign him inside bus aslo mango aslo diwai. Now me play sign him. Now this consent form me stop me play 1 week 2-3 days. You come to latif 30 minutes or 2 minutes 3 minutes now begin this consent form na karam ko.
And then it's like portion 144C. Okay, you know got proper class 3 map. You know got land investigation report from the company or whoever investor is. You know got social mapping whereby identifying one plan, you own him, one ground. This plan been come up.
So me also want from mama la place. Lo this place start, lo this place something you been come up. Me from mama been stop too, lo this la time now when he been come up lo this la time. So all man been go past, all you been make him clear lo no good lo this la something, no good lo this la something. So me ka concern blo lit, all generation blo me come up behind. This la looks away now you play walk awareness you play walk him now lo me plan. So this la me give me clear understanding of them. Me better no got la SABL. Na mila kisimbe klen title blom your se mama la place.
Loka hombla toksa bin come up here. Time sambla papa blom mi bla stop all na bin sawe. Na mi bla beginning grow to mi bla na bin sawe. Ika sambla man only working paper or high to office or one ma only working signing this agreement. Now this la ground na mi Asian only come. Now only working sambla can work. Handa blom this pala only na bin explaining mi bla papa blom ground. Before only walking this walk. Now, and planting something now, me plus somebody to the south. So now me making this todo, adding some the ground by my scambaclo me plus Papa ground. Yes. This is my land. I have to stay here.
We have made a mistake already. With no proper explanation. All this, people may play confused. Now me play make him number about now 168,840 hectares. Landowner company no can olim one time Joseph Teng na play up langen na keke anta plangen. Only must give me the title back. We have our own rights to decide long resources plan me plan.
The case of Turrbal is just one among dozens of flawed land deals in the country, where landowners were misled about the size and the nature of an agribusiness project. Government agencies, such as the Land Department, the Department of Agriculture, or the Forest Authority, put the interest of foreign corporations over their mandated duty to protect people's rights and natural resources. Between 2003 and 2011, more than 70 land deals were signed in PNG, amounting to 5.5 million hectares all over the country. Combined with the 8.5 million hectares under some form of logging concession, nearly 1/3 of the country's 46 million hectares is now in the hands of foreign corporations.
So SABL, what the governments, they said this SABL is good for the customary landowners. For that reason, we take this step to get our customary land into this SABL list. From there, we found out that our land has been grabbed and it was taken away by foreigners and other smart ones. Those are the leaders from our own clan or our own family members. Or that is the game that has been playing, not only in Turrbal SABL, but with other SABL lists in the country. Most of the times we have such thing, they're dealing, the foreign investors, they always like to deal with the authorities. They deal with them and they sign papers or document, any necessary documents, and in the end, they told us that, oh, we have a development now. So we people are lost. Now you see, they can walk out anywhere they want.
The logging company has established checkpoints on the road to block unwanted visitors from viewing logging operations.
Why are you blocking the road then? Because the villager come in the morning and tell us that
we will not allow to enter.
You are not allowed to.
Manager, I'm sorry, we will talk to them.
Don't.
Okay.
After several attempts, we were eventually able to access the logging operations using a forest road.
We are now down at one of the land group, Yari. They are within the Yanguru South District and Ovisipik. This is their place, and it is also outside of the proposed oil palm, a 10,000 hectares oil palm project. And this is only for logging purpose. It is an illegal business or deals, but it is become legal to the authorities, and that makes us the resource owners just to follow. This is one type of the many other roads that has been built within our project. As you can see, they just make a track, what we call pallet track. They just make just push all these small trees down. They will do the selective loggings, what they want, what pieces of tree they want, and then they send the changeomen in. They just cut. In other places now the secondary forests are growing, and they leave it like this and they go away.
And the trouble is that, if you're out in the sticks in the rural areas in PNG, you have pretty poor access to any government, to the bureaucracy, let alone to the courts. So there are very few instances where landowners have had a reasonable opportunity to contest these little deals that are being struck between outside parties, or sometimes by parties maybe including some local landowners. They sometimes call them the Waigani landowners or the Waigani forest owners. They're the people who actually are from a rural area but have been living around the national capital and hover around the corridors of the national capital, striking deals even without the authority from the and free and informed consent, basically, from the rest of the landowners.
Land deals are signed behind closed doors in government offices of the capital, far from the people who live on the land. corruption and negligence by government ministries enable these deals, but they aren't the cause of why land is being coaxed and coerced from community members. The government of Papua New Guinea has embarked on an aggressive long-term strategy for development that is dependent on freeing up and taking land from residents.
We have a lot of land in Civic. There's plenty of land. But then, as I've said, it is land ownership rights and the mentality here is something that is blocking, is hindering development, is hindering progress. So in here what we are trying to do is we're trying to educate them so they will free up land mentally first, and then the land is going to be free. We must free land because currently we have a lot of land disputes. We are trying to get people to be monocroppers, so they concentrate and be specialized in one crop. To free up land, this is the process that we will be going through. We will run workshops on procedures for land registrations, that is ILGs. With ILGs, we intend to establish landowner companies. From there, we can assist them now then to draw project documents. So assist project documents, and then we can seek investors.
Freeing up land for development and unlocking it for productive use is the first priority of the government's development strategy for the country. The government plans to reduce the amount of customary land from 97% in 2009 to 80% in 2030. It reached its 2020 goal 9 years ahead of schedule. The government asserts that making land available for productive use is required to bring development to the country.
It's two damage done at once. So they go and get the trees or clear the area for oil palm. They get the trees, they sell it, they get the money from the logs, and it supports the oil palm business. And there's a lot of these companies that are out in the field doing clearing, and we haven't seen any single sign of a good oil palm plantation, a good oil palm business that will have mills and that will, people haven't seen any sign of a true oil palm development project.
In Turrbal, local landowners agreed to set aside 10,000 hectares for a palm oil project. In the course of establishing the project, the surface leased was multiplied tenfold to reach 116,000 hectares. Now, an area the size of metropolitan New York is being logged by a Malaysian company. Throughout the country, people are misled and abused through similar fraud. One of the most egregious cases of deception and coercion involved the country's largest land deal with Independent Timbers and Stevedoring Limited, ITS, a company registered in the USA and Australia. ITS arranged a deal to build a highway in exchange for the right to harvest logs along the route.
As they build the road, they 2 kilometers, and the road comes all the way from Western Province, which is up the western side of the country, to Port Moresby. You calculate all this distance that they're going to build the road, 2 kilometers wide. That's how much land they have the title over.
Local people agreed to a road corridor for tree harvesting of 20 meters on each side of the road. This agreement later was increased to 2 kilometers and then swelled to an unfathomable 34-kilometer wide corridor. Altogether, the 99-year lease ballooned to over 2 million hectares, 1,000 times what landowners had agreed to. Despite the fraud involved in logging deals, government agencies collect export taxes and other payments from foreign companies and generally accept and ignore shady practices. What is happening in PNG is part of a global timber laundering scheme denounced by Interpol in 2012. The majority of illegally logged wood from PNG first goes to China, the #1 importer, exporter, and consumer of illegal timber in the world. The wood from the timber then finds its way to American and European markets in products and furniture. Many foreign logging firms are involved in this highly lucrative but illegal trade. The largest logging firm in PNG is a Malaysian group, Rimbanan Hijau. Known by its initials RH, this group is controlled by Tiang Hu King, one of Malaysia's richest men. RH controls more than 60 logging companies in the country and is involved in a variety of other sectors. The company's most recent investment in PNG is a high-end development with the largest shopping mall in the Pacific Island region. In 2011, the government of PNG established a commission of inquiry into the SABL scheme and declared a moratorium on new deals. According to leaked transcripts of the investigations, the commission found numerous flaws in the majority of the leases.
We think that there are a lot of players involved in it, especially politicians, and who are trying to stop this report from being presented in Parliament because they are directly implicated in these deals to grab land. We are saying that all the land that's been given out through the schemes should be given back to the landowners, because this is 99 years lease we are talking about. It's 3 generations, and people are not going to be paid for those. It's free.
Despite these alarming findings, the government has failed to take action. Meanwhile, the logging continues.
When I look at it, standing back 1973 and looking up to now, I'm going, wow, what did those people see back then? They cushioned us that machine-oriented economy will destroy us, will push us to edges, to poverty. We're now talking about alleviating poverty in Papua New Guinea. Those people who wrote the Constitution then saw that we will get there. We are there now. Those people who talked about sovereignty and self-reliance, today Papua New Guineans would depend so highly on development aid, foreign aid for our development. When we have so many mines happening here, we have logging here, we have large agriculture happening here, we could feed ourselves here, but we are still very dependent on foreign aid. That is not self-reliance.
The island of West New Britain, with the largest and oldest palm oil plantations in Papua New Guinea, is held up as a model for what the government intends for the rest of the country. Using the island as an example, critics of the current development strategy point out that industrial agriculture is not bringing the promised prosperity to the people. Villagers in Mosa have seen few benefits from the exchange of their parents' land, sold for a few £100s in the 1960s to a palm oil company.
Mi plek si mola palang bus number na mi plek build mo laos. Company no alibi.
Ke ang tatlo de sen je mi. Mama blo pamilya. Ang problem we mi plano mai sai. Ni problem. Mi pesa kam lo garden because ino gatwara. Mi plek pai na ko si wara bro pidi mol pikini na kin gata blo family. Okay, na reply mo so mi stop lo garden mi kam lo night. Mi no gat light tu. So mi plan dim light tu bakam inside. Ha? Na reply di palongen lo school. Mi play ino kat company gin service kan sa school bay build on school bal pikin ni school good sing good plan line ni
mi play first line of gin this la ground in company come project go bisla project ko yo kan kan mi play Now this is 40 years anniversary, bro. This is ground or Papa play come. Only giving this ground or 40 years, bro. Working changes, bro. Agreement reviewing. Now company no behind this thing. I'm talking one time government now.
The stream where people access water is polluted with chemicals from the plantations. One of the chemicals is poison used to destroy coconut trees from traditional plantations. They will be replaced by palm oil trees. The situation is no better in Buvusi village. 50 years ago, settlers here were given 6-hectare parcels by the government to cultivate palm oil. In the 1960s, 6 hectares sustained a farming family of 5. Today, 31 people live on the same parcel. Income from the plantation is fixed, yet the family size increases each year.
Temple cutting farm, and you know man, you know never cutting farm. You cut him in Pangal, you can come, you can plan in a way, you can die, or brook shooting you, like a brook, or you will in pipe, lightning come and can drone burning pipe, can shoot you die. You guys know them, we have to be and outlaws, sidelows, and stupid, no beginning, you need the plantation, so garden, like a market, chilling the coins, the basket, the piggy, the come school, or piggy money, or putting up the punch to be a kind of thing. But if I make the plan to master.
Kind of sen now sen digo kaya ang katipam eh, no plan no katipam stop sen nitla walking market or stakan. So lemba katipam o nitla walking market go in a time moon don't la kam. Nitla katipam taksimani o kaya narikla o sa multamu stop so the market so lo sewa ko stop.
Who come let me know about the katim now, not the walking one time some more.
Reminiscent of modern-day serfdom, people are 100% dependent on the company, which buys all goods produced and sets the pricing. Additionally, the company deducts all needed items and equipment used by farmers, such as nets and wheelbarrows.
Me like also begin to school no go. Only can start one kind of no mistake.
A lack of basic infrastructure and services is a common feature in all the villages visited in West New Britain. People have little or no access to safe drinking water, health facilities, or schools. All the farmers here work for New Britain Palm Oil, the company which dominates palm oil production and is the top private employer in the country, is a member of the Round Table for Sustainable Palm Oil. Despite their claims of sustainability, there has been no substantial improvement in people's lives.
Basic infrastructure that people, a lot of communities in Papua New Guinea need health, education, road system, opening up access to the markets in urban areas where local people can go and sell their local produce, get money. These are things that are needed most in any PNG community. So as long as these kind of investors or the big investors look into setting up good systems for the landowners, then that is sustainable development. Otherwise, it's a one-side development where investor gets more, leaves behind problems, and the landowners become losers on their own land.
Communities from all over the country offer viable alternatives to the current development model. The residents of Sasi village in Madang province are successful economic players. They grow a wide variety of crops for subsistence and income. Villagers are involved in fishing and animal husbandry, as well as collecting various products from the forests. Collectively, the variety of crops they produce ensures both resilience to drought and floods and provides good nutrition. The people of Sasi are resisting the expansion of palm oil on their land.
Oliwoklo force lo making this lalo mi plamas to yesa longo lo ground lo mi plamas so mas plani oil palm
Kind of some now. Maybe work lo film worry one time. Maybe work lo fight against that stuff. Only come you see more office man maybe lo district. Lo all can sing out him all kind pubs. Amigo paslan lo maybe lo go na by all must yesa long em kind of same long all. Now only you see more office man maybe lo make him this lo maybe must send him ground.
Mi kwanta lo meeting to lo company talk to lo company.
Lo flag PNG flag ito sem crown em life. First time ni pin kisim display to crown em life. Mi skelim na value masem emi true na emblo start na finish protest pra crown emi truth mas crown em life. Time mi skelim crown. Amas pra generation ikan istablo display crown tasol in a world start na world finish empire crown. Crown emi as flow life flow yumi lo by amas pra time pra counting empire start or sem na money come out of crown all the kind something you tinim lo car lo big name kind something material something lo big pla cities now mit pla looking and mi come out of ground tasor inolo nal pla osem na mi skelim na meeting osem mi value ground osem life flow you me all got a man meri pro ground today answer pro life from stop now na pian ground tasor life flow people flow me as a ward member na me like preventing this rights flow preparing this talk ground by enough lifetime from me, enough from me die too.
Some villages nearby have accepted the expansion of palm oil plantations into their land, and palm oil plantations are coming closer to Saucy village. Nearly 40 years after independence and the drafting of a constitution with the aim to guarantee strict control of foreign investment capital and to ensure that the state would carefully monitor the practices of natural resource companies, the government is giving up the country's natural wealth to foreign corporations.
I have to make it clear here that what we have at the moment on the table is the alternative. Papua New Guinea and all Melanesian countries, we had a way of life. That was the way of life until the colonizers came with their alternative and said, this is what we have to offer you. So that is the kind of development we want to change. We want to make this, we can feed Papua New Guinea, we can feed Australians. I am in Australia and they have to label, this is organic banana, this is not organic banana. Hey, why are you labeling? We eat organic all the time. Organic is big now. Here we eat organic cheaply or for no cost at all. So these are the struggles of big development that people are saying, okay, this is a good company, it's going to work for us, it's going to bring in millions of kina for Papua New Guinea. But I will be happy. The day will come when we see all our mothers and children can access healthcare for free. All our children can access up to university education for free. Then we say this is real development for Papua New Guinea. Then we say that our minds have paid for our education, for our healthcare.
Despite the change of government in 2012 and the work of the Commission of Inquiry, there is little sign of serious political will to stop the grabbing of PNG's land and forests. At the current rate of deforestation, the PNG Forest Authority estimates that by 2021, 83% of accessible forest areas will be gone or severely damaged. This would be an environmental disaster. With heavy dependence on the forest, the human toll is barely measurable. This loss would affect the livelihoods of millions of rural people.